Tyler was mentioned as in that release along with other major Texas cities, but the full list has not been released just yet. The city of Tyler tells us they followed the no new revenue rate, by the way. Tonight, the Bullard City Council voted unanimously to join ICE's 287G Task Force Model Program. That was after the Bullard City Council voted, as I said, unanimously to join ICE's 287G Task Force Model Program. As of this month, 23 East Texas law enforcement agencies have signed onto ICE's program, including now Bullard. We've told you about them all day. 2 others joined today. The agreement allows local law enforcement to carry out and assist in certain duties from U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement. During the public meeting, 15 people spoke, sharing their thoughts with the City Council, including Daniel Alders and Police Chief Jeff Bragg, who were for the task force program. Those who came to speak included Maria Gobia, who says her father was detained in Bullard on June 10th. She said she had hoped her testimony would help change their minds.
Honestly, it's devastating just because of what has happened to my father back on June 10th. He was taken into custody, not custody, but he was taken by immigration people, and it has affected our family in a lot of ways than I can think of.
Processes of what we're looking at doing is taking advantage of new technology, new database systems, and being able to better identify individuals without having to contact other agencies, without having to contact ICE, and without having to do different things like that to help our officers in the job they do every day.
That's Chief Jeff Bragg, by the way, speaking at the podium. ICE officials announced that as of Thursday, it has signed 1,205 memorandums of agreement for the 287G programs, covering 40 different states. I'm sure there will be more East Texas counties and cities to join this. We'll keep you posted on that.